Last time we looked at some of the things you needed to have in order to build an effective plan. Really, that your plan has to be measurable, it has to be, specific, it has to be, actionable or achievable, it has to be relevant, it has to be time bound, it has to be big enough to accommodate the kind of vision we are talking about. It has to have a long range as well as a short range. It has to be something you review constantly with your spouse, something you also have to celebrate the outcomes each and every now and then. These are some of the things we said in the last edition. Tonight we are going to look at specific areas of a plan. Specific areas. We're going to look at the spiritual, the physical, the emotional, the mental, and of course the financial aspects of your plan. We're going to look at them from these 5 areas, and I believe, God, that by the time you finish listening, it will be easier for you to develop a comprehensive plan for your marriage and for your family life, so that at the end of the year we will all jubilate. So listen, if you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so immediately. Look at this red button, click on it, get subscribed as we go into this edition. Wonderful edition indeed, don't miss it. And I want to take, for instance, the spiritual side of life, your spiritual goals as a couple. Now, the first thing you need to ask yourself, where are we spiritually? If you are a couple and you are already in Christ, you are a Christian couple and you are in Christ, you will ask yourself, at what level are we? Are we redeemed Christians, or are we just nominal Christians, Sunday Christians? Or are we committed Christians who are true believers? If you are not, then you need to set out some certain goals that you intend to meet. If you are not redeemed, you need to set out goals and say, of a truth, between now and so time, we need to be dedicated. We need to be redeemed, we need to be redeemed Christians. This is what we need to do. We need to be baptized before so time. We need to be born again before so time. We need to do whatever is necessary to be born again at this so time, at this so period. You need to do that. But if you're already born again, then you need to ask yourself, what contributions are we making in the body of Christ or in the local assembly where we are worshiping? Are we part of the evangelism fellowship, or are we part of the fellowship? Are we part of the choir? Are we, what sections? What are we part of the prayer group? What are we doing in the local assembly? If you are not doing anything in your local assembly, then you need to meet your pastor or your spiritual leader so that he can commit you as a couple to a particular unit where you will function effectively as members of that assembly. You need to ask yourself, what is our prayer life like? If you are just, your prayer life is lukewarm, then you need to put out time where you and your wife and children need to pray regularly, in the morning, in the night, or even certain periods of the day when you are together, especially during the weekends. You need to put down time, specific times when we should be meeting in prayer. And of course, prayer without fasting doesn't sometimes be effective. So you need to create times when you need to fast as a family and as a couple. It can be every weekend, it can be once in a month, but let it be a time that is set aside where the whole household will fast and pray, because that is what Christianity is all about. You need to also set out some special functions you must be doing to satisfy your own part of the service record as a child of God. You need to do that. I know of families who take out a particular weekend, possibly Saturday evening or Sunday evening, and they go out on evangelism. Try as much as possible to win souls for the kingdom. These are critical things you need to do in order to be qualified, in order to tell yourself, I am really active in my faith. Then, of course, in terms of Bible study, you need to also put out time when you as a family should sit back at least 1 hour every particular week. 1 hour that you will sit as a family, as a full family, could be 1 hour, it could be 2 hours. You sit as a full family and you discuss the scripture, because that is the foundation of your belief. If you are also in other religion, you can also design ways by which you can become more infused in your religion, become more, in a way that you can understand your religion better. It's very important, because the spiritual life is what governs the physical life. These are things you must do. It's very, very important. Check your service record. Know the areas that are leaking. Know the areas that you need to upgrade. Know some certain things you need to add. Having said so much about the spiritual aspect of your plan, let us look at the physical aspect. When it comes to physical aspect, you must prioritize your physical well-being. How do you improve your physical well-being? That is very, very important. That means you have to look at the exercises you enjoy as a couple. Do you normally, do exercises? Maybe yoga, maybe jogging. Some couples do early morning jogging every day. Some do it on weekends. These are ways to fine-tune your physical body. If you are not doing it before, then you key it into your plan. Very important. Then, of course, the kind of food you eat. Do you observe balanced dieting, or is it carbohydrates all the time? Do you bring fruits into your menu? Do you bring protein and iron into your menu? These are things you have to check. If you are not doing that before, then you must take cognizance of these things and key it into your food plan during the year. It's important that you observe balanced dieting. Even if you don't have money to be procuring meat or fish or this and that, there are other food items like beans that contain a lot of protein. See how you can organize the dietary, the menu of your home is very important. And of course, you need to also prioritize, intimacy and connection when it comes to the physical side. How do you connect as a couple? Even when you are very busy every day of the week, there are times that you can afford to take a vacation. It can be quarterly, it can be monthly. Get away from the kids, get away from work. Find somewhere, a quiet atmosphere where you can reconnect with your spouse and leave work behind, leave family behind, and reconnect with your spouse on a monthly basis. Is very, very important. I have seen couples that didn't look at that area, and they were growing apart without really knowing it. So how do you reorganize your intimacy level is important. You also key that into your plan. Take out certain days of the month or certain days in a quarter and look, take those days are days that you reconnect with your spouse by getting away from it all. Is important. Still on the physical axis, I will ask you, what kind of hobbies do you enjoy as a couple? You must look at certain hobbies. There are hobbies that will involve both of you. There are people who enjoy a game of chess. There are people who enjoy a game of Ludo, badminton, table tennis, billiards. There are games like that enable both of you to reconnect and enjoy yourselves. These are things you key into your plan. It can become part of your daily plan, that every day at a particular point of the day or at a particular point in a week that you have to sit back and reconnect through your hobbies that both of you enjoy. You can key that also into your plan. It's part of the physical planning of your marriage. Let us look also at the emotional side of your marriage, the emotional side of your lives as a couple and as a family. The first thing you need to ask yourself is, what are we missing in this marriage that needs improvement? What are we actually missing? Some couples miss quality communication. They don't really know how to communicate effectively with their spouses. If what you are missing is effective communication, then make it a point of duty to at least read a book in a quarter in the area of communication. Read a book. If you can't read a book, then get a therapist who will be able to condition your minds on the effective ways of communicating as a couple. It is important. Then if it's in the area of conflict resolution, or how to manage conflicts, or how to manage anger, or how to manage your sexual life, these are certain areas of marriage where a couple can feel challenged. If that's part of your challenges as a couple, then you need to also do the same. Find books, and there are several of them. Find books, find teachings that has to do with the area that you are feeling challenged, and then learn more about it, or make it a point of duty to attend seminars. These are things you must do, clear specific things you must do. So the emotional side of your marriage is actually very important, because that is what guides a lot of transactions that happen in the home, emotional transactions, and all manner of things that happen. How you guide your emotions is very important. And I will actually counsel a lot of people to go out there and see whether they can get a counselor, or possibly an elderly couple that you trust their counsel, that can be there for you at every point in time. It's important. Key these things into your plan for the year. Don't run your affairs in trial and error. It doesn't make sense. Find out the areas where the roof is leaking in your marriage, and take proactive actions to address those situations immediately. Develop this attitude to actively listen to one another, to understand what is happening in the life of one another. You need to ask yourself, how do we foster a conducive environment in our marriage? How do we do it? How do we foster it? How do we encourage it? Sometimes a couple may encourage it by having a quiet time together regular quiet times. If that will work for you, key it into your plan. It may not be every evening if you don't have time for every evening, but at least once in a weekend, have a time that you spend quietly with your spouse. Some people do it on a daily basis. Once you make out your mind and you put a time tag to it, you discover that you begin to work based on that time frame. It's important. You create time for it. If it is important to you, you will create time for it. It can be as little as 30 minutes in a day. But if you can do it for an hour, fine. That time you spend in watching television and doing other things, you can take a quiet time, stay with your spouse. Even if you have children, you can just draw your wife or draw your husband inside the room, and then you spend some time, discuss with one another. This makes the marriage more beautiful. This makes you to understand what is happening in the life of your partner, because the more involved you are in his or her life, the better your marriage becomes. This is what will help you in improving your relationship. If you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so immediately. Look at the red button by my side here, click on it and get subscribed. When it comes to the mental aspect of your plan, it simply means setting down goals for individual improvement. If you are at a certain level of education and you feel that you need additional information to upgrade your quality, to upgrade yourself as an individual, there are so many courses you can take online. Some of them are even free. Once you take some of these courses, your market value as an individual, goes up. You can even afford to enroll in an open university program. You can take courses, things that will, when it's added, it adds it adds value to your person. You can do that. You can sit down as a couple and decide, this year we are couple A or partner A, you are entering the university this year. I need you to go and do so courses. Do it and add it to what you have. Or, my dear husband, why don't you, since you want to be a social media marketer, there's a particular course that has to do with content creation. There's a particular course that has to do with social. Please, why don't you spend so time between now and so time to undertake this course? If you can do this, it can upgrade your value, and you may begin to earn more. These are things that you have to key into your plan for the year. Very, very important, because when you stay put on that same degree you had many years ago, I can tell you that the world is moving and knowledge is increasing. it may come at a time when you become irrelevant in the marketplace. So there is a need for you to continually improve yourself. And as a couple, you need to also, help yourself, encourage yourself to improve in every aspect of life, especially your mental capacities. Then, of course, you may also decide to engage in what I call joint learning. For instance, if a couple desires to, enter into a certain kind of profession jointly, I have seen couples that set up a law firm because both of them are lawyers. I have seen couples that set up an accountancy firm because both couples are accountants. I have seen couples that set up schools because both have interest in educating the young ones. So if a couple wants to set up a joint project, they can decide to engage themselves in information, in knowledge that has to do with that kind of profession. Therefore, as a couple, I don't know what your interest may be in the future or your vision of the future is, but you may decide right now to begin to learn things that will take you to that particular kind of vision. You can do it jointly. It can be done online, it can be done offline. These are things you key into your mental plan for the year. Joint learning towards a specific subject. Very important. Then let me also discuss the financial aspect of your plan for the year. The starting point is for you as a couple to have a budget. Your budget should specify how much you earn, how much you spend, how much you save, and how much you invest. These 4 critical areas, very, very important indeed. Because a whole lot of couples spend their money or spend their income without taking cognizance of the final outcome. They spend endlessly. Before they realize it, at the end of the month, they discover that they have saved nothing. So as a couple, you need to be proactive about all these things. It is very important. One of the purposes of creating a budget is for you to track your expenses so that you know where every money you earn on a monthly basis, where it enters. Because if you don't have a budget, it is difficult for you to actually know how your incomes are being spent. So that's the reason you must create a budget. A whole lot of couples don't have budgets, and that is very detrimental to success. So create a budget right now. One of the things you also do right away is to create a savings culture, and then divide your savings into long-term savings and short-term savings. Long-term savings are things you put down for your retirement stage of life, things you save for the building of a home, things you save for businesses. Those are long-term savings, but short-term savings could be as small as possibly paying off your house rent or taking care of your children's education, things like that. Those are short-term savings. So have a long-term and a short-term savings account. Is important. Then of course, when it comes to investment, you have to be clear about what you invest in. Some people invest in shares, some people invest in real estate, some people invest in all manner of monetary instruments. Some people invest in treasury bills and things like that. You have to know exactly things you invest in. Possibly you need a broker or an investment analyst who will be able to show you the ropes to quality investing. You need that as a couple in order to have a quality financial plan. And of course, in the area of your finances too, you need to look at ways whereby you can increase your sources of income. These are specific things you put in your plan. Specific things that has a time bound to it. If you are a teacher, for instance, you have to look in terms of not only teaching offline but teaching online. You also need to look in terms of writing books. You also look in terms of private consulting. These are areas that you can harness to increase your sources of income. If you are a business person, for instance, you are a trader, there is nothing that stops you from going into real estate or going into a little bit of farming. Because the more sources of income you create for yourself, the better it is for your future financial stability. It's important that you do that, because I've seen a whole lot of people who depend on one financial stream, one income stream, and when that stream closes, they suddenly become poor. But I also know of friends who have 5 financial streams, 7 financial streams, income streams. Some of them, I even know somebody who have 12 sources of income. So you need to increase these things. You need to increase these things. For the Garden of Eden to flourish, as the Bible said, it needed 4 rivers to, bring joy into that place. 4 rivers have to service the Garden of Eden for it to become that special place we read in the scripture. So you need sources of income to increase your joy, to increase your stability as a couple. You need it. So whatever in training you have, whatever experiences you have, whatever you are doing presently, look at ways of harnessing it and increasing your sources of income. That is how to get financial stability, And as you do that, key it into your plans. I am going to start doing this from the month of March 2nd or March 1st. This is what I will do. This is how I want to diversify from April 25th. This is what I want to do from the 7th of September. This is what, put time to it. Let there be a time frame to every plan you are having, so that as you are working tenaciously to fulfill that plan, you see the joy of your marriage blossom. It is important. So I also want you to listen to the last edition and see the importance of some of the things we are saying now, and see how you can key it into, coming out with a quality plan for your marriage and for your family. Very important indeed. I thank you really for taking out time to listen to this edition. I believe in my heart that you have gained 1 or 2 things that you can use to prosper in life. Some of the things you need to do in order to prosper in your marriage. But one thing is clear: every plan that you are going to do, you are going to, that will come out of what we have said, must be written down. Please, your spiritual, your physical, your mental, your emotional, and your financial plan. Write all of them down and then begin to, work on them. In the course of time, you will discover that your marriage and your family life have, taken a giant leap. You have actually improved, and you are making a whole lot of gains on every side. I thank God really for enabling us to be together. Please, before you check out, look at this very particular button and click on it and get subscribed to my channel. Once again, I thank you. I look forward to seeing you next week.